Okay, nice. Okay, remember that the interpretation is disponible in French. Okay, it's really nice. Okay, again, my name is Hubert Sanchez, and thank you very much for this opportunity that be here with you in the Youth into Action program, the webinar, the series of webinars that we prepared uh, way to the COP16. Yeah, in Cali, Colombia. For me, is really nice here. Reminders, please mute your microphone when not speaking, and remember that this webinar is being recorded. Yeah. And this is our second session. This is our second session, and the topic is international and national biodiversity governance. Yeah, and please let's use you are the son if you have the book, one note for learn better. Yeah. Greeting to everyone from Mexico. Yeah, nice. Welcome. Hello, everyone. I'm from Niger. Niger, welcome. Okay, remember that we are in the Youth into Action, and this is our second session of DZ six of DZ six series that we can have in here because we are preparing for the COP16. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I am from Colombia. Hello, Cesar. Welcome. And remembers me what is the topic of this second session? What is the topic? If you want, you can send me, you can record me, remember me by the messages. Yeah, what is the second? What is the topic? Hola a todos, hi everyone. Sol Espinosa de Paraguay. Nice. Yes, our second session, the topic is governance. Yes. Okay. Yes, Solian, governance, biodiversity and the governance. Sebastián, claramente sí. Y Jean-Paul Monsa dice, governance, international and national led diversity. Nice. Please, please, the video. Thank you.
Nurtured through the times to be a guiding light. The gift was handed down the ages from the elders to the child. I learned to love my land of birth, the mountains and the trees. I learned the secrets of the earth, the sky, the wind, the seas. It taught me when to work the land and when to watch and wait, when to sow and when to reap, and when to celebrate. To share my time, my skill, my harvest and my labor. I learned to give and to receive the caring of my neighbor. To give respect to nature, each creature has its space. To celebrate all cultures, each people has their ways. Walk lightly on the planet, this message must be heard. The gift of simple living we offer to the world. Nurtured through the times to be a guiding light, and now it teaches me that I must carry on the fight.
Okay, this is a good video, for example, in Colombia, and this is a good video for listen and watch with is our purpose for the nature in our lives. Yeah, and it's the time for the presentation of the CBT and how it works. Yeah, Heitor, are you here?
Yes, I'm here today.
Welcome, Heitor.
Maybe share my. Have you seen it?
Yes. Okay, wait a little, please. Okay, it's nice.
Good. Yes, so hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for sharing your Sunday hours with us. My name is Heitor. I'm Given Policy Co-Coordinator. I'm from Brazil. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Convention on Biological Diversity. Please consider that this is an introduction to the CBD, which means that we do not have time to go in deep of the whole process of the convention itself, but we also have time for Q&A. So if you have questions after my presentation, please also feel free to ask it, and we will try to reply to you. And also, please remember that this is a series of capacity building webinar sessions, which means that we are going step by step. And today talking about the introduction of the CBD, but on the next ones, we're going to talk about the global biodiversity framework. And the next one, we're going to talk about how youth can be involved in CBD, how can be involved on the framework itself, and so on. So we are all moving in the same direction, step by step. So just briefly remember, this webinar session is being held by the Global Youth Biodiversity Network, GIBN. GIBN is the official youth platform for mobilizing young people for the Convention on Biological Diversity since 2022. And GIBN also is a very powerful community, powerful global community that are spread in more than 170 countries from 53 national chapters and so on. So thank you for everyone that is here from all over the world to share these hours with us. So yesterday, for those who were here, we had a very, very good presentation about biodiversity and this embedded relation with human, and how inequalities, biodiversity loss are also intrinsic, and understanding a little bit more about right holders and the importance of right holders as stewards of biodiversity. So I think we are on the same page, understanding why biodiversity is important, why we are here discussing so much on biodiversity, and why we are always considering human aspects of biodiversity when we are talking about these topics. And today, I want also to discuss and present a little bit with you why CBD is important and why I will be talking about international governance of biodiversity. So before CBD, we had a few conventions that was organized to try to deal with some of the environmental challenge that we had. So you had conventions specifically to discuss about migratory species or wetlands and so on, but they were all conventions that was restricted to a particular subject and not for the whole scene, for the whole consideration of biodiversity. So during the Earth Summit or the Rio Summit in 1992, 3 new multilateral environmental agreements, MEAs, was created to try to deal with the global perspective about the environment. So it was created the UNFCCC to deal with climate change, the UNCCD to deal with desertification, and also the CBD, the Convention on Biological Diversity. A convention is a space, is an international body to deal with governance, to provide that space where parties, which means countries that are signature of these conventions, can have the opportunity to dialogue and to decide the common goals and the common future steps to think and to act for biodiversity conservation. When we are talking about the CBD, there are 3 main objectives. The first one is the conservation of the biological diversity. The second one is the sustainable use of biodiversity. And the third one is the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from the use of genetic resources, which means that here we are seeing then biodiversity in this whole perspective, and how can we reach these 3 objectives in a same background that could deal with different countries. The CBD is organized in 7 different thematic programs of work, which means that they are focus particular in inland waters, agricultural, forests, marine and coastal, islands, mountain, dry and subhumid lands. But as important to consider, these are thematic programs of work, but CBD is a much more holistic structure that is dialogue with the whole perspective of biodiversity, and inside of each of these thematic programs of work, they also have further discussions. CBD also have cross-cutting issues, and here's just a few of them. So gender and biodiversity, communication, education, and public awareness, economics, trade and incentive measures, traditional knowledge, and innovation and practices that now are under the HA, health and biodiversity, and climate change and biodiversity. So these cross-cutting themes are those who are particularly important to the whole program of work and the whole design and implementation of the convention itself, and that are part of all the discussion process that we are having. When we see the strongness of the convention, we also see the importance that almost all countries in the world have ratified the CBD. So now we have 196 parties that is part of the convention, with the exception of two. The Vatican, basically because Vatican involved itself with political issues, and the US, that was part of the design and the development of the convention, signed the convention, but never ratified it for political and economics that would not pass it out through the Senate. So these are the only two countries that now is not part of the CBD. So why CBD is important? This is perhaps one of the main questions for us here today. And then it's important to consider that CBD provided for the first time, the world has come together saying that they want to prevent biodiversity loss. And more or less was also the first time that they agreed that they couldn't carry on business as usual. So it was the first time that we were able really to have a common understanding that the way that our economic, financial, and consumption systems are not being sustainable for Earth, and that we need to think common perspectives for future transitions, for future transformations, where we want to prevent biodiversity loss. Was also the first time that the world provide a mandate for governments to address biodiversity loss, which means that now within CBD process, countries have guidelines, they have common orientations, they have common understanding on what they should do, and they can discuss how to properly implement all the decisions that are under the CBD. And also was the first time that the world provided a platform for governments to meet, to discuss, to dialogue, and almost always to try to go into a common decision. So now we also have global standards that can be accessed, that can be tracked, and that can be compared to understand progress, delays, agenda to prevent biodiversity loss and the actions that we went for transformative. So CBD provided this whole space where now we have international governance structure to deal with biodiversity and understanding all processes that are related with that. Of course, that respecting the jurisdiction of each country, but at the same time providing this dialogue between each of the spaces. One of the most common questions that we heard is if CBD is not a penalty process, which means that parties went into discussions, they create documents, they agree on documents, and they try to follow up these documents, but there's no penalty for those who do not compromise or implement 100% of this. Why is this still important? And here is a very interesting perspective to see that we are talking about an international diplomacy space, and that we are talking about respect among pairs, and we are also talking about a process where civil society is watching and charging their own governments. So this is strong enough to keep the agenda moving forward and to keep countries, even if they are not doing everything they are promising, if they are not doing everything that the documents are saying, they are still moving forward. And this is still a process where we can guarantee that we are moving forward with the agenda, with all discussions about how to deal with biodiversity and a more embedded space with nature and people. So this international diplomacy and also the civil society vigilance is something that is strong enough to guarantee that this is an important space of discussions and it's an important space of interventions. But for the CBD have a secretariat that basically is this administrative body. Now we have Astrid Schumacher from Germany, who is the executive secretary of the CBD. It's a very important body because it's particularly the one who organizes everything related with the CBD, since the meetings, preparing the report and the documents that we discuss. They assist the member governments in the implementation of the programs. They coordinate CBDs with other international organizations and with other conventions, and are also responsible for collecting, disseminating information about what is going on in the CBD itself. CBD have different subsidiary bodies that are permanent bodies that was established by COP that we are discussing on the next slide to assist the negotiations and the agreements. So now we have two different of these bodies. The first one is SUBSTA, the subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice. That is basically the body that provides scientific, technical, and now I will also add traditional knowledge, evidence to guide COP decisions, to say exactly what are the current state of the discussion, the current state of evidence, to be able to guide the best decision-making process for COP. So SUBSTA is the body who are telling what to do based on science evidence. And the other one is SBI, the subsidiary body on implementation, which is responsible for strengthening the effectiveness and create means of implementation. So SBI is the one responsible for thinking about resource mobilization to guarantee capacity building and training for people and governments to understand CBD, to understand the process under the CBD, to understand how CBD should be implemented. And basically is the one that is talking exactly about how to do the implementation of the whole discussions of the CBD itself. So how provide the means and how to do it. The main body of the CBD is the COP, the Conference of the Parties, the highest decision-making body of the CBD. COP meets every 2 years, and this is a space where all parties come together to advance in the implementation of the convention, to adopt COP decisions, and to create the strategic plans, programs of work, and so on. Now we are here exactly because we are on the road and now knocking the door of COP16 in Cali, Colombia. And it's important to understand that the relationship between these two bodies and COP means that we are on a long road until COP16. Much of the hard work that came now for decision on COP16, they are discussions that are being held in these other two bodies on the past 2 years. And most of the documents are coming from these negotiations for this process of discussions from SUBSTA and SBI. And now they are more or less coming, not done, but at least further developed for COP to decide. Of course, that we have a lot of agenda items and a lot of agenda items that we're going to discuss on next webinar, that you see that still have a lot of breadth, which means point of discussions, but more or less the hard work was did on the past meetings. In our COP is a place where countries will actually have the final decision, the final agreement upon the agenda items. The process is a consensus process, which means that all parties in the COP, they need to agree on the agenda, or this is not approved. Consensus was a process that was decided because of the difficult on going through the decisions, and is something that reflects a lot of things. But one of the best definitions that I also like to mention is that consensus means that at the end, everyone is unequally happy. Otherwise, if you have some parties that are happy, other ones that are not happy, we very likely had unbalanced powers. So if someone is happy and someone is not happy, means that we are not actually taking all the differentiations and all the process into consideration. So unequally happy is something that are very related with consensus, which means that everyone is giving up on something to be able to move with the agenda forward, to be able to guarantee that we are all moving on the same direction. The convention organized itself from 10 to 10 years on different strategic plans or framework. From 2011 to 2020, we had the HE targets. HE targets, we might considering, and we know that we did not achieve the expectation and the ambitions that we had for HE targets. We had a lot of reasons for this. A few of them would need to consider is that we had too much top-down and too little bottom-up approaches, so we do not have the proper involvement of right holders as indigenous peoples, local communities, women and youth, and not civil society. We do not change it, consumption and production patterns when we are talking about economics and financial systems. We don't mobilize resources enough and not created enough capacity to be able to allocate and to distribute these resources. We had a lot of gap in ambition and political will to guarantee that these targets was really, really moving forward in the national circumstances. We do not have an indicator framework that was adopted strong enough, and that was not a strategic plan that address the drivers of biodiversity loss, which means that the business as usual was not strictly addressed as one of the main considerations to transform, if you want to really halt and reverse biodiversity loss. So after the HE targets, it was started, of course, the development of the post-2020 global biodiversity framework that was agreed upon COP15 in December of 2022. So the common Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework is the current framework that is being held. The Global Biodiversity Framework, they have 2030 mission that is halt and reverse biodiversity loss, and also a 2050 mission to achieve a living in harmony with nature. I'm not going into details of the GBF now, because we do have a session next week that is particular for the GBF, where we are going to talk about its goals, its targets, and the GBF itself. So now it's just important for you to know that the convention is organized through frameworks that basically go from 10 to 10 years. And now what we have on the table is the implementation of the Common Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. So it's the current framework that is going to be the implementation is going to be discussed on COP16 and so on. When we are talking about the CBD, it's also important to talk about the implementation of the CBD. So CBD, it's organized in direction relationship with national governments. So CBD is again this space that decides goals, obligations through guidelines and through frameworks. This is a process that is party-driven. Parties are those who are deciding that these documents, and these parties, they need, when they sign the documents, they also need to show how they are going to contribute with these conventions. And this is done through their National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plans, NBSAPs. So NBSAPs are the documents for the commitments of the parties, and this is where they dialogue exactly their national perspectives about how they are going to implement the CBD. So it's a process that is in direct relationship with national laws, with the conservation initiatives, and also with the word that we use a lot for the integration of biodiversity in other sectors, as economic sectors, as agricultural sectors, as forest.
Sorry
Yes.
to cut you. Can you speak a bit slower for our
Yes, I
translator?
can.
Thank you,
sorry.
Aitor.
Thank you. The mainstreaming, which means that is the integration of the biodiversity in other sectors. After parties doing these commitments, they need, of course, to show if these commitments is achieved through their national reports, which are the documents who show their contributions. So just a little bit in deep. And once more, NBSAPs are these national biodiversity strategies and action plans, which are the planning instruments that reflect how countries intend to fulfill the objectives of the convention at national level. So are the commitments that parties are doing for the convention. And when they do these commitments, they also need to showcase how they are achieving these commitments that they did. And this is done through a process of national reports that measure exactly what are the contributions that party have achieved based on the commitment of the NBSAPs to guarantee that we have a monitoring and review process for the implementation of the convention itself. Now it's a moment as we shift from a framework to another one, where NBSAPs are being reviewed and updated, and we are expecting to have the majority of NBSAPs updated now. We are having a panel with from our regions to explain a little bit more about this NBSAPs process and the involvement of the young people in the NBSAPs process and how this has happened on different territories. So it's important that this is the process that we guarantee that we have in the CBD directly connected with national jurisdictions, and that this is the process that is also important for a national perspective to dialogue and to be vigilant to follow up the whole process itself. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is a very, very introduction process, and I'm already a little bit over time. So please, if you have more interest, we have the publication CBD in a Nutshell. That is a guidebook to the CBD process. It's not directly related with the GBF, but the whole understanding about the convention, the process of the convention, how the convention is dialogued from global to national level, it's in this document, so you can have a really, really, really good understanding about the whole CBD process. And if you want more information, you can just check. And yes, I'm here for questions that might appear. And thank you very much once more for sharing your time with me and with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aitor. Thank you very much for your presentation. And it's the moment of the Q&A. It's the moment of the Q&A. We have some messages that they're in our chat. Yeah. Okay. Some questions. You a question. Will NBCAP discuss it in a regional way or only in global standards? Aitor?
Duve, I'm sorry, I lost you for a few seconds. Could you please repeat the question?
Okay. Sebastian Muratalla asks you, I have a question. Are the MBCAP discussed in a regional way or only in global standards?
Yes, thank you very much for this question. NBCEPS is a process that is directly dialogue into national level. And this is a process that actually should or must be built together with civil society and with all right holders. We have different countries and different strategies, but most of them, they are open and they are inviting you to be part of the process, for example. And these NBCEPs documents, they are built at the national level, and after being built at national level, then they move forward to the global process of discussion in the CBD. So probably your question will even be clear after the panel where you listen about the experience for young people being involved on different regional. But for now, it's important to know that yes, we all have opportunities to be part of the participation of the NBCEPs in our own countries.
I think we are losing Dover at some point because he's kind of freezing.
Aether, I think there's also one good question on the chat. Let me read it for you. It says, how does Gibbon construct positions in participatory manner to be presented at meetings of subsidiary bodies and COPs? Aether, please.
Yes, thank you very much for these questions. As you know, Gibbon is a global community, which means that we try the best at the hard to connect global level with local level. Our communities, we try actually to involve our communities through consultative process, through workshops, to different forms that we launch on specifically agenda items to collect inputs and use these inputs as part of the design of the interventions that we are holding in the negotiation itself. Particular for this COP16, we created a policy team. Our policy team was an open process call that was launched for all Gibbon communities, all Gibbon community members. We had, if I'm not wrong, around the 300 applications, and we selected people based on their expertise and regional disturbancy, on gender balance, and on marginalized and non-marginalized representation to be part of this policy team to guarantee that we have different voices from all the regions and for all the different socio-ecological backgrounds to give inputs, to collect with their own pairs, and to guarantee that we are creating this process from local to global and all different socio-ecological realities from young people to move with the process of creating interventions on the CBD. So this is the way that we are trying the most to guarantee that we are being representative with all these different voices. And of course, with so many agenda items, this is the ideal. This is what we are trying the best. And of course, that we are also aware that not 100% of it is possible. But I think with these two considerations of the integration local to global and the policy team and the process of the policy team, you have more clarity about how this is done.
Thank you, Aitor. I
Okay, we
hope.
have other questions.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dover. You're back. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Nicholas, how can the work of this policy team be known and commented on by the national chapters? Nicholas asks you, how can the work of this policy team be known and commented on by the national chapters?
Yes, thank you for the question. Policy team is preparing documents, Nicholas, for sharing with the whole community. The policy team is just a new body on the Gibbon that have 2 months, and we are all learning by doing and understanding exactly the process of also guarantee how we are connecting with the whole community. We're also very on door to COP16, so working hard on this process, but please wait for a document where it's been prepared, where we are showing all the process of our interventions, what you're suggesting, what you're discussing, and try to open this also to collect more inputs at the moment. So now on the road to COP16, this document be the summarize of the discussions that we are having for.
Nice, thank you, Aitor. The other question is, could you briefly touch on the initial given undertook in 2022? Jonathan asks you, could you briefly touch on the initial collective you led MBSAP review process that given undertook in 2022? This is the question.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan. Basically, as I mentioned, I will let this for the panel because this will be more a direct dialogue with them. But just to briefly mention, the CBD runs both regional and sub-regional dialogues on NBSAP's updating and review. Gibbon was involved in a lot of this process where we sent representatives that was selection by the regions itself. And also we had different involvement of young people in their own national reviewing and update of NBSAP's process. And this change case by case from country itself. But in most of the cases, young people are invited most of the time through Gibbon as an official platform, and then we are able to send these first people to there, and these people are able to guarantee that we are also connecting this global community with the process itself.
Okay, thank you, Aitor. Thank you for your we are going to read some other questions because we have the panel, yeah. Esperance.
I'm losing a little bit David, and his audio is unstable, but I think he was moving to Esperance's question, and I have it on the chat that she's asking what exactly does the CBD if a ratifying state fails to comply with the convention, how does CBD assess whether countries are actually complying with their NBCEPs? And if I can explain a little bit more about given policy thing once more. So for the two first questions, again, what exactly CBD does if a ratifying state fails to comply with the convention? Nothing. CBD does nothing. There's nothing that CBD can do. CBD is a body of international diplomacy and international governance, but countries, parties have their own mandate on their own national jurisdiction space. So CBD is not a mandatory body, but is a body of negotiations, and is a body that are given guidelines, are given principles, and are given action plans for parties to organize themselves on the way to halt and reverse biodiversity loss, most of times trying to transform their economy in relationship with people and nature. So there is no penalty for parties that do not satisfy, comply their commitments to the convention. How now they are following up the process, how they are assessing if countries are actually complying their NBCEPs. This is through national reports. National reports are the documents that are showing the contributions of each the parties for the convention based on their NBCEPs. It's particularly important that for now, the GBF, we have to be approved now at this COP16, very likely to be approved, monitoring framework. Monitoring framework is a framework that will provide indicators and different measures to guarantee that parties are being able to showcase their progress on the implementation of the GBF, following common indicators, common standards, common questions that are guiding. And then these materials are used to compile information, compile data and information to guarantee that they are exactly showing up their progress.
Thank you, Aether. Dover kind of like lost his signal, I think. With the interest of time, we want to move ahead with the next part of the session. Aether, if you would be okay for you to answer the questions in the chat, that would be helpful, because there are other questions in the chat that perhaps you would be able to clarify as well. And questions for the NBSAPs and the national reporting, perhaps the next part of the session can be discussed as well, because we invited panelists to share their NBSAP efforts in different regions of the globe. So thank you everyone for the questions, and thank you Heather for that presentation. So we wanted to move ahead with a group photo first. Please everyone, if you don't mind, we wanted to see your beautiful smile today for a group photo, and Greta will be taking that photo for now.
So I have 4 pages, so I need you guys to be a bit patient. So within these 4 pages, you can do whatever you want. You can do your heart, you can do cheese or whatever. I'll just do a screenshot really quick. So every time I count 1, 2, 3, I'll take a screenshot. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, give me a while. I paste it. Okay, second page. Okay, ready. Okay, 3. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. Wait ah. Okay. 1 more. 3, 2, 1, smile. One more. Wait 3, 2, 1, smile. Sorry, a bit too fast. That's a bit too fast. Okay. Last one. 3, 2, 1, smile.
Thank you, Gretel. We'll invite Duver later to moderate again, but we will have a quick break. So we have a quick 5-minute break, everyone. And then when we come back, we will hear sharing of our panelists on what they are doing with their own national biodiversity strategy and action plan. So please be back after 5 minutes. And we'll have Duver again moderate on the next part of the session. See you later, everyone.
See you later.
Hey, hi everyone. Can you send us a thumbs up if you're here so we could start the next part of the session? Are you guys here? Awesome. Perfect. Thank you everyone again. So we are now on the last part of the session. And today we will be hearing about experiences from our amazing youth who are doing NBSAP work in their own countries. And we have Dover already. Dover, is your internet okay now? I think you're muted right now.
Yes, I'm here. I'm
Awesome.
here. My internet is a pure connection, but the thing is that I am here. And this is the important. Okay, welcome to the panel of of the second session of the Youth into Action, up to COP16. Yeah, and the thing is that we must to if you have some questions about the panel, you can send us about the chat. Yeah. Okay. Let me start, please. Okay. Panel. The panel, the name is Youth Involvement in MBSAP Processes. Yeah. We have some panelists, and the name one from Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin American, Caribbean, and Pacific. Yeah. But okay, the main question, the great question is, how have you been engaging in your country's MBSAP process? What are some lessons learned from this process? Yes. Okay, the first is Abdul Otete from Africa. Welcome, Abdul. Welcome this Youth Interaction sessions.
Thank you so much. Dube is, I don't know if I pronounced it well, but I think you'll correct me later if that is the right pronunciation for your name. So my name is Abdul Hamid Otete from Kenya. Member of Kenyan Youth Biodiversity Network, in the steering committee member, in charge of climate change and landscape restoration. So just to share very fast how we have been engaging our country in the NBSA process. I must say that first of all, our country has been very supportive of the GYBN chapter in Kenya because of our cemented relationship we've had with the ministry for longest period of time now. And first of all is that we have been part of the process from the very beginning of it. Many of our members have participated in all ministerial meetings that have happened with regards to NBSAP review. And to quickly mention is that Kenya has already submitted its NBSAP to the CBD already. And we are part of the first countries in Africa to do so. And this has not been very possible without the voices of the young people here in Kenya, being represented by GYBN Kenya or KYBN. And among the things that we have also been, how we have also been engaged in this process is that there have been consultancies that were engaged by the ministry to undertake some data collection, or let me say more of data collection exercises to beef up the process and to understand the gaps that that maybe may have led to the failure of each targets and maybe will make these GBF more ambitious, more ambitious than each target. And so for us as a network, we were also consulted when it came to sending in data that will inform some of the the indicators to measure the targets that when we were formulating our national targets. So as KUIBN, we were fully engaged in this process. We were consulted. We shared the data that we had. In some instances, we were not able to share some of the data, especially when it came to there was a request to share data on the biodiversity monitoring system. This was more of a robust process. It was more technical in a way. And as a chapter, we had no that capacity to, as for that time, to share in our voice on this. But it shows how our country really regarded the skills, the work, and all the expertise of young people who are working in the biodiversity space. And also to quickly mention is that there was at the beginning there was this stakeholder mapping by the government where all the stakeholders who may be relevant to or let me say influential in the process were identified, and these stakeholders were grouped into 3 clusters of the GBF targets, that is reducing threats biodiversity, nature's contribution to people, and means of implementation. And so for us, we looked at these clusters and we divided ourselves in those clusters that are touching on the young people's involvement in the implementation of the GBF, and to come so close is to talk about our national targets as a mean to implement the GBF. And so this is how we were really involved, and the consultation reports we believe will guide the finance gaps, and also help to will also help us when we'll be implementing our national targets in relation to the GBF. And so I must acknowledge that there was some lessons that we really learned, that this process it depends with how you position yourself as a country, as a youth network, to engage with the government. Government is very open, but it depends with how you are positioning yourself to be engaged. Are you ready to be engaged? Are you organized? And I must acknowledge that there are also some chapters that are still new to the process, and they are finding it hard, first of all, just to get to know their country focal points, and this is very normal. But you know, the thing is that you have to strive to really get to understand, to know your country focal points, and because at COP16, many countries will have submitted their NB subs, and this is to mean that if any of the youth network has not been part of the review process, there is that other bit of the implementation. So this is that's the point also, where as young people you really need to understand, as much as you missed to be part of the review, now it's that window for the implementation. That means you must be abreast yourself to understand how the review was, and what are the national targets, and now what's your own contribution to this, because in the spirit of GBF, whole of our system, whole of society, whole of government approach remind us that we have to be part of this process. So I feel like there is more to learn from this process, and it is the new era that many youth have been part of this process, as opposed to the AIH target and its NBSAP processes that really followed up to its implementation, where not so many young people were part of this. And so I feel like this is a great thing that we have been part of it. Many chapters have been part of it, and we will have to follow it up to the latter to see how it's being implemented. So it's just an encouragement that find it
Hi,
really.
Abdul.
Yes.
Sorry, can you speak a bit slower for our interpreters?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And you think you can open your camera as well if your internet is okay? Um,
Okay, I think
Awesome. Now we can see you. Perfect. Thank you, Abdul. Thank
okay,
you so
maybe I'll just wrap up in a nutshell. Sorry
It's
for being.
better. Thank you, Abdul.
Yeah, so mm, what I was mentioning is that this is just an opportunity for the other chapters that have not been part of the process to look up to the outcome of COP16, where many countries will have submitted their aid subs, and it's a chance for the youth to really look into then their submitted aid subs and see where they can leverage on and be part of the implementation, better understand their national targets and how these targets then, which areas they can make a contribution, because it really counts for us as young people to have our voices very visible in both national, local, and international platforms, and this is the way to go. Government is very open to work with young people, but I understand governments are different, but it's your responsibility to find that focal point and really tell them how best you want to be engaged, and not them to tell you how they want you to be engaged, but it's you to tell them how you want to be engaged, and they are very supportive from our own experiences as a country. Thank you. Over to you, Duve.
Okay, I think Dover is probably has no internet again. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you also, Kevin, for adding more information in the chat. May we call in our next sharer for today? May we call in Maria Abasi? Maria, please introduce yourself and also share your work on the NBSAP.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good noon, good night, whatever time zone you are in. My name is Maria Akhtar Abbasi. I am from Pakistan, and I am the co-founder and also the chapter coordinator for the Pakistan region. And today I'm representing Asia and Pakistan. So what Abdul has said and what
Maria, sorry
Yeah.
to cut you. Please speak a bit slower
Oh.
for our interpreters. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the reminder. So we have to ask, we have been asked two questions: that how have been involved in the NBSAP's process, and what are the lessons we have learned so far. So there are two things basically. So how have we been involved, like since COP16, when the GBF was published and it was all in force and everything, we had been in contact with our NPF, like National Focal Point in Pakistan, and ministry as well. But unlike many other countries and like so many other countries in Asia, the NBSAP revision in Pakistan was like really, really late. And as Abdul Hamid has said, that they have already submitted it for their country. But in Pakistan, the revisions are still going on. There are only 2 regions that have already been covered, and 3 regions or 4 regions are still left. It's still very late, but that's how things happen. As Abdul said, that every country is different. So what we have been doing, so of course, as youth, it was really difficult for us to get into that space, because it's very diplomatic process. It's as a lot of stakeholders are involved, and as youth, it was really difficult to seep in. Like, we had been in contact with the Ministry of Climate Change, we have been in contact with the other people, like UNDP was involved here, and as in Asia, like UNDP is also a major contributor who are working on the NBSAPs. So we had to push them a lot, because it was really difficult to get into us stakeholders. But this year we were finally, 2 months ago actually, we were finally contacted, and then they invited our youth representative. So only for one consultation we went, and for now I still have to go for the consultations this week. So what have we learned, I want to show you, and how have we been involved. So for the youth in Pakistan, so this is the document we have been shared, because now NBSAPs in Pakistan, they are being revised from the as per the GBF. So this is what we have been doing, if you can see. So there, the GBF targets, Hitar has mentioned very well that GB have its targets, and there are 23 total targets. So
Hi, Maria. Sorry. More slowly, please.
Okay.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I would just like to talk a little bit more about this part of the presentation. Not presentation, but as Hitar has already told, that there are like 23 targets for the GBF. And for youth, what we are doing from PYBN, we are like collecting youth inputs for the revisions. And as you can see, there are like so many people from Pakistan and from different regions in Pakistan, and everyone, for every single target, everyone has some inputs that how do they want to do it, what do they think that the revision has it, what revision doesn't have it, if there are like some missing terms that are not being covered. So like P by B, and like we have pushed everyone and the youth from Pakistan to give their inputs, and I guess it has been the similar in other cities as well. And as I told, that we are still to go for the NBSAP's consultation, so there is still time. We are still like going very soon this week, and then the final consultation is going to be on October 2nd in Pakistan. So we are hopeful that we are going to be like finally having a document and with youth voices involved. And what have we learned so far, like for again countries in Asia and for countries in Africa, I hope as well. For the stakeholder on the government level, they don't take it not very serious for the targets. They're like on some targets they have more focus on the other targets. There is no any focus. Okay, if the target is like this, and even if it's very unrealistic, they are saying that okay, this is gonna happen. So we as youth, we really want to make these targets practical. We want to raise our voice. We want to go with a very practical way, and we want to go with a very concrete way, that okay, we know what's happening, and we want it to be like not just another document. We want it to be a comprehensive document about biodiversity actions, and that's all. And I guess we also learned how to negotiate and how to convince them to have us in the whole process. I hope I was clear throughout, and I'm really sorry if I had been fast. Thank you, Mark. That is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. That's very inspiring and really creating that space for government and youth to talk about the NBSAP. And later, perhaps if we have other questions, we would ask you on your efforts with the NBSAP. Thank you again. So we call in representative from the Latin America and the Caribbean. We have Esteban. Esteban, please introduce yourself and also share your efforts with the NBSAP. Please go ahead.
Hello, thank you a lot. Well, hi, my name is Esteban Marin. I am a lawyer. I am from Colombia, JB Colombian chapter of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network. And well, I have the amazing opportunity to present some insights of what are the Latin American chapters of the GB, of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network are mobilizing or doing in towards to contribute to the National Biodiversity Plan actions. So, well, we've been having some from Latin American and Caribbean countries, from Brazil, from Paraguay, from Chile, from Dominican Republic, from Peru, from Mexico, from Bolivia, among others, that have been updating or are developing their national biodiversity action plans with active participation from youth, from engaging and consultation spaces to designing specific forums for youth consultation. Young people from these chapters, GBNers, have played a crucial role in these processes, with the objectives to contribute on the review of the implementation of the status of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and to present national updates or alignments of biodiversity strategies and action plans with the Global Biodiversity Framework. Also, to develop a framework on monitoring and resource mutualization frameworks too, and as well to implement a multilateral mechanism for the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from the utilization of genetic resources through digital sequence information. This has been some of the priorities too in in some national chapters in GBN here or GYBN here in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I will deep on a little bit more on what we are doing here in Colombia, of course, and we have been joined on regional workshops where we had held across 23 cities and municipalities to update the biodiversity action plan here in Colombia. We have been participating in this, contributing in the actualization here in Colombia of the biodiversity action plan. And some of the contribution of the youth in these regional workshops are from our contributions from the children and youth, where we have collected in 16 of the 23 territories that the national plan has been actualizing itself. We have been doing 5 virtual workshops and 2-person meetings where we focus on youth input for the biodiversity action plan. A total of 269 youth participants contributed their feedback through workshops and consultations, in person and online forums. Sorry, the children and youth had a roadmap was also shared with 254 stakeholders during meetings, workshops, and consultations too. The youth participation was particularly strong across Colombia in different regions, including the Caribbean, Andean, Pacific, Orinoquia, and the Amazon region too. Some we have identified and along with the Ministry of the Environment, we have prioritized some focus areas based on the consolidation of research of the consultations that the Ministry of Environment has done, and youth has identified priorities on integration and intersectoral currents and between territorial management and biodiversity climate action as a form or as a key determinant for the planning and the management of the territory. 38% of the participants has emphasized on this special focus area, making the link between biodiversity and climate change and how this can be more can contribute to the planning and the management of the territory. Additionally, we have prioritized the focus on resource mobilization for conservation, where this is very highlighted on the priorities of youth here in Colombia. Some of the targets that we have aimed through the workshops that we have participated on person and online go up to target 22, to mobilize more the target 22 that is focused on participation of youth, target 23 that is gender and differential approaches, target 14 integration of biodiversity and climate change. Other priorities including capacity building, science and technology, that is target 20, financing, that is target 19, and target 9, that is the sustainable use of biodiversity. These are like some of the targets that were most focused on youth here in the region in Colombia. We have been contributing in different territories, as I said, in Colombia, trying to mobilize the voices of youth on the national plan action. Yesterday, we had the presentation of this consultation and consolidation here in Colombia. We had the enormous opportunity to participate here in the capital with 10 delegates of the global of GBN Colombian chapter, where we construct the agenda of this process with the environmental with the Ministry of Environment. I'm going to show you some of the, maybe really quickly. I don't know if I'm going fast or I'm okay. Okay, I want to show you very quickly what we where we participated first in some of these some here in Colombia. In these regions, there were 20 regions, 23 territories where we participated to here in Colombia. Also, we have been contributing to the document of the actualization of the plan of the action of biodiversity plan, where we have been, contributing from the priorities of youth, contributing from the necessities of youth, and identifying some barriers among uh, among inclusivity, among human rights based approach, traditional acknowledgement, and diversity, LGBTQ plus inclusion inside the actualization of the plan. Yeah, also integrating some biological technology approaches, gathering human rights too, and recognizing youth and children as education of non-formal and formal, for education for conservation too. And well, this is part two of the contribution that we have been doing here in Colombia since the beginning of year, participating in person and develop informs to catalyze the voices of youth inside the national plan action of biodiversity here in Colombia. Yeah, I will end there, and well, thank you a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Esteban. Thank you for your contribution for this. Remember that we are in the Youth into Action. This is the series of webinars that we are preparing for COP16. Okay. And remember that you have questions, you can send us by the chat. Yeah. Okay, wait, because we have the last speaker is from Pacific, and his name is Lisa. Lisa, welcome this webinar. Lisa, are you here?
Hi, everyone.
Lisa, how are you? Welcome.
I'm good, thank you. So my name is Lisa. I'm from Papua New Guinea. I mean, Papua New Guinea, we do not have a giving chapter yet, but for the region, the Pacific, we are working towards establishing one. So for this session, I will speak for myself and my involvement in the NBCEP in my country. So I work for the government, the national government, PNG government, and the government agency I work for is responsible for NBCEP in the country, and is the lead implementing agency. So my involvement in the NBCEP is most recent. It was on the realignment of our NBCEP targets with the GBF targets. So there was a technical working group which was set up to deliberate on the alignments and what the new NBCEP target should look like. We were fortunate, myself and other junior officers, to have a separate meeting with the consultants from UNDP. The meeting excluded our bosses, so we shared our thoughts on the current implementation of the NBCEP in the country and our thoughts on how the new target should look like. So from the process, some of the lessons learned is how we saw that PNG is committed to the GBF goals and targets, but some of the targets are very ambitious for our country. This commitment with the new GBF targets will require a lot of effort across all levels of government, as well as non-government agencies, and including the communities. So at some stage, it will signal a change in our priorities, our national priorities. We also felt that maybe some of the targets, we may leave out some targets and adopt only what is relevant to our country's aspirations. And also the indicators for our realigned and NBSTEP targets needed to be very clear and should be measurable, allowing for easy reporting. Although the junior officers, we were consulted for this alignment process, we hope that we will be consulted thoroughly and make our inputs in the actual review process of our NBSTEP, which will happen next year. So my line of work in marine protected areas is important in the NBSTEP review process because of the MPA data I manage. So when the actual review of our NBSTEP starts next year, I will be able to contribute on the projections of the MPA coverage and what should be included as specific outcomes based on the current trend of MPA establishment in the country. So target 3 of the GBF looks at protecting 30% of our land and sea by 2030. For MPAs in our country, that is not realistic. And considering those factors and other factors like the availability of resources, my contribution in this space will be based on coming up with targets which are practical, with practical outcomes and not ambitious targets which only look good on paper. Yeah, so I guess that's for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your participation. And this is the moment for open the Q&A. If you have questions, please let you know by the chat. Yeah. Okay, César, this is the question. César from Colombia. ¿Por qué? Y creo que pues esta pregunta, I believe that this question is for Esteban. Esteban, please. ¿Por qué en Colombia la cultura LGBTIQ+ se incluye en las metas de biodiversidad? Eso no tiene sentido. Aquí en Yopal parece ser que toda la juventud es LGBTIQ+, y no es así. Solo están asistiendo a las convocatorias de juventudes los colectivos de esta comunidad. Esteban, what is your answer about it?
I'm sorry, I had a little bit of connection issues. Can you repeat me the question, please?
Okay. Okay. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Are you listening to me? Okay, nice. Okay, the question is, ¿por qué en Colombia la cultura...
Acá, bobo.
Hola, hola. Okay. Esteban, the question is, ¿por qué en Colombia la cultura LGBTQ+ se incluye en las metas de biodiversidad? Eso no tiene sentido. Aquí en Yopal parece ser que toda la juventud es de LGBTQ+, y no es así. Solo están asistiendo a las convocatorias de juventudes los colectivos de esta comunidad. What is your opinion about it, Esteban?
Yes, voy a responder en español. Y la pregunta se orienta, digamos, los espacios pues, de biodiversidad son abiertos, ¿sí? Son inclusivos. Bueno, el capítulo de la Red Global de Jóvenes por la Biodiversidad es un capítulo que impulsa la diversidad étnica, cultural, la diversidad de distintos sectores y entre ellos las comunidades también de identidades y diversidades sexuales también, porque todos tenemos un papel y un rol dentro de la conservación de la biodiversidad. Uno de los impactos negativos que está teniendo la biodiversidad es el cambio climático, y el cambio climático es algo que nos afecta a todas y a todos, y la pérdida de biodiversidad nos afecta a todas y a todos y a todes, y es por ende que también tener la necesidad de la participación de distintos sectores, de distintos procesos comunitarios es muy importante para entender las prioridades, las realidades, ¿cierto?, de estos sectores. Hay algunos sectores que pueden participar más, pero desde la Red Global de Jóvenes por la Diversidad impulsamos a que sea abierta, a que sea inclusiva la participación y que estén involucrados los distintos sectores, la academia, las organizaciones de la sociedad civil, los adultos mayores, la niñez, ¿sí? Y pues todos los sectores que puedan contribuir a un plan de acción de biodiversidad que esté fortalecido desde lo comunitario y desde la sociedad civil.
Okay, Esteban, thank you very much for your answer. And this is important because in Given we are inclusive, and I think that this is important data that we must to have. Okay, the other question is, the second question is,
The very sorry.
Yes.
So the French speaking and the English are not able to understand the discussion. If you could just summarize the question and the answer as well, please.
okay, thank you. The next question is for Sebastián Muratalla. A question for the panelists. Which are the success strategies Okay, are you listening to me? Okay, the question is, excuse me, the question is that you have observed in all the countries, so guess its implementation on countries that presented more difficulties within their MBSPS. Kevin, can you ask this question? Hello. The question is for the any panelist that they want to ask. Yeah. The question is, uh, okay, wait. The question is a question for the panelists. Which are the common success strategies that you have observed in all the countries MBSAPS, and how could you wish suggest is implementation on countries that present more difficulties within their MBSAPS? Who wants to answer this question? Maybe Abdul, maybe Aria from Asia, or maybe Esteban from Latin American Caribbean, or maybe Lisa for.
Hello. Sorry, I may not have gotten the question very clearly. But in my thinking, maybe does the person who asked the question want to understand the successes of NBSAPs as they've been revised by different countries? I'm trying to understand the question. Did he or did she meant the successes that many countries have maybe recorded as far as the revision of the NBSAPs is concerned? Was it the question?
Yes, I think.
Okay, that's a bit technical, and given that we may speak for many countries in the region, because the process at that point was or is remains at the country level. But looking at some of the successes is that our own experience would be with time to national target, the developed national targets. This one required that the countries are try to scan and understand their capacities and their priority areas as a country, and not that everything that is in the GBF targets should find itself into national targets. But
Okay, the internet.
Hi, Dover. I think you're on mute.
Excuse me. Okay, I think that the Abdul don't have the a good intervention right now, but we have a third question. A third question is: did the GCBN selected the youth delegation to COP16? Who wants to answer this question, please?
Hi, everyone. In the interest of time, maybe I can answer that. My name is Kevin. I sit on the Global Steering Committee of GBN. I'm sorry, I'm not part of the speakers, but for the selection of the participants of COP16, we are in the process of doing that, and we'll be reaching out in the coming weeks on the final selections. And thank you, everyone who took part to apply. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you have questions, if you have more questions, please let you know about by the chat. Okay, Tanya, thank you to you. Okay, if no there are more questions, I think that this is it for today. Mark, there are more questions in the. Are there more questions in the chat?
I think I don't see any more questions. If there are other questions, please raise your hand or just put it in the chat box. We can maybe have two more questions if there are other questions for our panelists. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay. Okay, there are more questions and more messages. María Gracia, ¿podemos articular con ustedes desde el grupo de Stop Ecocidio acciones conjuntas? Creo que esta pregunta es para, I believe that this question is for Esteban. ¿Podemos articular con ustedes desde el grupo de Stop Ecocidio acciones conjuntas?
Sí, claro. Yes, of course. Well, yeah. Stop Ecocid. Yeah, hello. Hello. I wanted to respond the question. Doer from Stop Ecocid is an organization that has been very aligned with the youth movement, of course, and then, of course we can connect. I will type.
Yes.
I will type. I will type.
Yes.
The
We can
GV.
listen you.
I would. Okay. Doer, your internet is cracking a lot. It's cracking a lot. So yes, I will share the GV Colombia chapter email if you want to share a little bit, and we can merge a lot of strategies or initiatives together. Of course, yes.
Okay, I think Dover also again lost his internet. Aether, if you're here, I think this question is for you. From Marilyn. Are you still here, Aether?
Yes, I'm here, Mark.
Awesome. So the question is, how can Gibbon participate in COP16 negotiation zones to present proposals and social, environmental, and community projects on climate action, biodiversity, and political advocacy with youth and women leaders? Thank you, Aether.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for the question. Yes, we are on the road to COP16 now. And I think the most important way is, first of all, approach directly to your chapter and to your region. And then starting doing the movement of getting involved with your local, from your regional, and to your global perspective. We are in this series of webinars where they're trying to capacity building, and you're also taking input from questions and things like that. And we haven't, as Kevin mentioned, the selection process going on, where we'll be able to try to include the maximum participant until COP16. But for now, this will be the spaces that we are trying to create and open for increase this broadly participation. So yes, please reach also to your national, then regional focal points. This is the most important part, to be able to start creating this network and broadening this community step by step, and we create this huge movement.
Thank you, Aether. That's a really good advice. So if you have anything you wanted to include on your youth voices, please coordinate with your Gibbon chapters. But if you're not in Gibbon yet, we'll send you perhaps send us a message in our chat so we could introduce you to your to the regions that can be you're able to talk to. And perhaps with the interest of time, we can entertain more. I think Maria, if you would answer the question that you posted, how would the youth can learn to negotiate and convince perhaps other stakeholders and the government to be part of the revisions of the NBSAP. Perhaps you can share your experience on the negotiations as well, and the other members of the panels on how can they learn to negotiate with the NBSAP. Maybe you could start, Maria. Maria, please. Are you here, Maria? Okay, I don't think Maria is here. Perhaps we can have someone from the other panels. Maybe Abdul and Lisa. Can you share your perhaps some tips on how to learn to negotiate with the government with the NBSAPs?
Okay, maybe I can share something. I think with different countries, the situation is very different. So I can only speak for my country and how youths in my country can participate in this process or try to negotiate with the government, which I am also part of. So at this stage, for PNG, there I don't see much of the youths being involved in this whole process. So while I'm on the other side, I maybe influence some of the process within the government to try to be inclusive so that we can also get input from other youths and young professionals who are outside of the government space. So that would be my take from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Maybe last word from you, Abdul.
Yeah, so I think there are a number of ways youth can be part of the GBIN negotiation during the COPs because GBIN goes there as an umbrella of youth individuals and organizations. And that's the point where as young people, of course, if you don't have GBIN presence in your country, then it means that there are other avenues you can be part of the GBIN network at that global level. But generally what happens is that there is always priority areas for GBIN, international, or let's say GBIN network, where as the youth from different countries, we always feed into the process through our chapters, and this forms largely our negotiation priorities in the COP. So there are also the side events where as young people, because that's where again you can meet the country delegations, you can now openly speak to them what you really want to see happening in those negotiation rooms. And this is the point also you can present you whatever you feel it's at heart for you and your and the youth constituency in your own countries. So this is also another very important space for us to engage with these delegations from different countries in those side events, and also participating in the GBIN actions that will be arranged for the young people. There is policy team for GBIN where we can now contact them and work with them because there's a lot of ways you can participate and with GBIN during the COP negotiation zone. So there's a lot of opportunities for young people.
Thank you, Abdul. And I'll pass this now to Dover. Dover, I think we're ready to close. For other questions, we'll send you link where you can do it in the attendance sheet. Dover, you can now close the session, please.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity for being here, because I think that we must give, we are giving, and this is the moment for prepare and for be a better version road to COP16. Yeah, and is the time for closing this moment, because the next session is please the next what is
Dover, you're on mute. Dover, you are muted.
okay? Thank you. The message is the next. The third session will be coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, when September 2018. This is the next Saturday. And please ready for the fourth session. The topic is understanding COP16. When is the next Sunday, September 28? Listo? Okay, this is it. And I think that this is a great opportunity for say, please ready your souls for leave Colombia in time for work for our biodiversity, for the biodiversity planet. Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll be in the third session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on session 3 and session 4. Please watch out our social media accounts for the registration link. Thank you for joining today, and thank you to our interpreters. You are amazing. And thank you to our speakers today from the regional representatives and ATER. And thank you to our moderator for today, Duver Sanchez. Thank you so much. We'll see you everyone next week for the next new sets of sessions. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.